This is 6th grade Excel lesson 20, and we're going to be looking today at rounding, a lot of rounding and estimating, and so this should be mostly review for you. There is going to be something on here today towards the end of the lesson that should be brand new, so you're going to really need to pay close attention to that. Hopefully you already know how to round though. When rounding to the nearest 10, you looked at the digit in the ones place. When rounding to the nearest 100, look at the underline the digit in the tens place. When rounding to the nearest 1,000, look at and underline the digit in the hundreds place. When the chosen digit is 5 or greater, round up. In other words, let's take a look at some numbers here. Let's say we've got 27, and we want to round that to the nearest 10. So here's the tens place. I look over to the right to the ones place, and if this number is 5 or greater, then I round up. So that would round to 30 rather than to 20. If the number is 265 and I want to round to the nearest tens place, there's the tens place. Look to the right to the 5. The 5 tells me to round this up. So the 6 is going to round up to a 7, and it's 270. All right, let's go ahead and get started with some of these now. This should be, again, review for you. Number 1 says 75 right here. Your paper just has a blank without that written. You're going to go ahead and write 75 in the blank, and you're going to round that to the nearest 10 right here. Well, the tens place, that's that number, the 7. So we underline the 5. We look to the right to that 5, and the 5 tells us if it's 5 or greater, we round up. So we round this 7 up to an 8, and this becomes 80. So go ahead and fill in 80 on your paper. All right, go ahead and try numbers 2 and 3. The numbers that you're supposed to write are on the screen right here. Put those numbers in the blanks, and then round each to the nearest 10. Turn the video back on when you're ready to see the solution. Okay, the first one you should have written 94 in here because that's what it says. Now, the tens place is where the 9 is. We look at the ones place, and that tells us do not round the 9 up, so we need leave the 9 alone, and that rounds to 90. The next one you should have written a 38 in. The 8 is the number we're looking at, and the 8 tells us to round the 3 up to a 4, 40. All right, let's keep going. Oh, there are the numbers, and there are the answers. Okay, number 4. And we're rounding these to the nearest 100. To the nearest 100. So the example that's been done for you, number 4, the hundreds place is right there. You look to the right to this underlined digit, which is in the tens place. That number is not 5 or greater, so we leave the 1 alone. We do not round the 1 up. And the closest 100 to 126 is 100. Number 5, let's do this one together. The hundreds place is right there. We look to the right to the 5. So the 5 tells us round this up. So the 2 rounds up to 3. Everything else becomes zeros. All these become zeros over here. The nearest 100 to 253 is 300. All right, let's do this next one together as well. The hundreds place is right here where the 5 is. Don't get faked out by this 3. We're going to look to the right to the 4. The 4 tells us to leave the 5 alone. So we leave that 5, but don't drop the 3. It's 3,500. The numbers to the right of the place that you're rounding, in this case we're rounding to the hundreds place, everything to the right always becomes zeros in these rounding problems. But the numbers to the left stay the same, unless there's a 9 that that bumps the number up. Okay, go ahead and do number 7. Pause the video, turn it back on when you're ready for the solution. The 3 is in the hundreds place, so you look to the right to the 6. The 6 tells you to round the 3 up. So we round that 3 up to a 4. Everything to the left is going to stay the same. This digit stays the same. And everything to the right of the hundreds place becomes zeros. The 6 becomes a 0, and the 4 becomes a 0. Now we're going to round to the nearest thousands place. 5 is in the thousands place. We look to the right. Always look to the right of the number. That 3 is not 5 or greater, so I leave the 5 alone. It does not round up, and it becomes 5,000. The nearest 1,000 to 5,326 is 5,000. Okay, notice that all of these became zeros, each one of them. All right, I want you to go ahead and try number 9 on your own. Pause the video, turn it back on when you're ready to see the solution. All right, the 0 is in the thousands place, so I look to the right at that 6. The 6 tells me bump up the number in the thousands place. I'm going to round that up. So the 0 becomes a 1. Everything over here on the left stays the same, and then everything on the right becomes 0. So all three of these becomes a 0. The answer is 11,000. Now this one's a little bit tricky. Well, you haven't done that one yet. Pause the video, try that one, and then turn it on to see the solution. All right, that's the 0. There is no number in the thousands place. I look to the right at the 7, and the 7's going to bump up that nothing, and 1 more than nothing is 1, so the answer is 1,000. All three of these become zeros. The closest 1,000 to 726 is 1,000. And by the way, if let's say the question was 426, what's the nearest 1,000 to that? The nearest 1,000 is 0. There's no thousands that's closest to. All right, here's some estimating problems. When you see in the problem estimate or about or approximately, that they don't want the exact answer, you're going to round each of the numbers in the problem to the nearest biggest number you can round them to, and then you're going to add those up. So we're going to do both of these together and see how close it comes to the real answer. 46, we round to 50. See, because the 4 is in the tens place, I'm looking at the right to the 6, that bumps the 4 up to a 5. 25 rounds to 30, 11 rounds to 10, and 55 rounds to 60. Now let's see what the real answer to this problem is. 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 1 is 12, plus 5 is 17, carry the 1. 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7, 8, 8 plus 5 is 13. So the real answer is 137. Go ahead and fill that in on your paper if you haven't already done so. Now this one is much easier. Estimation, remember, the purpose of estimation is take a hard problem and make it easy. You don't get the exact answer. Sometimes you don't need the exact answer to a math problem, and so it comes in handy just to make the problem much easier than it originally was. And so we add up the zeros. 5 plus 3 is 8. 1 plus 6 is 7. 8 plus 7 is 15. So my estimation for this is 150. The real answer is 137. You can see that my answer is a little bit bigger than the actual answer, but it's not that far off. Okay, I want you to go ahead and try number 2 on your own. Round each of the numbers, add up for your estimation, and add up for your actual real answer. Pause the video, turn it back on when you're ready for the solution. All right, you should have rounded 42 to 40, 59 to 60, 13 to 10, and 15 to 20. 2 plus 9 is 11, 3 plus 5 is 8, 11 plus 8 is 19. Carry the 1. That's 10, 12, 129. That shouldn't be there. 129. Now let's see what my estimation is. A bunch of zeros. 10 plus 3 is 13. Boy, that's close. 139, 120. Okay, this one's going to be done the same way. Round, but then we're going to subtract. Pause the video, turn it back on when you're ready for the solution. 92 rounds to 90. 26 rounds to 30. 90 minus 30 is 60. This one, I hope you didn't do 2 minus 6 is 4. We have to regroup on that. 12 minus 6 is 6. 8 minus 2 is 6. 66 is the real answer. 60 my estimation. Okay, on this next one, now you're not going to round this bottom number because if you did, you'd get 0. And the answer is not going to be really close to 0 because anything times 0 is 0. So on this bottom number, since it's already easy to work with, it's just a 4, just leave it as a 4. Go ahead and try this one on your own. Pause the video and then turn this video back on when you're ready for the solution. Okay, 26 should have rounded to 30. As I said, do not round the bottom number. 30 times 4 is 120. 0 times 4. 3 times 4 is 12. 6 times 4 is 24. Carry the 2. 2 times 4 is 8. Plus 2 is 10. So the real answer is 104. The estimation is 120. All right, here's some word problems having to do with estimation. Let's do this first one together. Norm's school has 182 students in the 3rd grade, 250 in the 4th, and 345 in the 5th. Estimate how many students are in the 3 grades. Notice when it says estimate, you're not going to find the exact answer. Now, I could round each one of these to the tens place, but that wouldn't be very smart because I'd still have a problem that wasn't super easy. And remember, estimation, I want a really easy problem. So I'm going to round each of these to the hundreds place. 182 is going to round to 200, right? And then 250 is going to round to 300. And then 345 is going to round to 300 as well. That 4 tells 3 to go down, not to be rounded up. So when I add those together, it's real easy just to add the zeros. 6, 8, so the answer is 800. Always make sure you show your work and you have a label for your word problems. That includes your guided practice and your homework. Show your work, label. Okay, Mallory got 32, 42, 34, and 35 points on 4 science quizzes. Estimate her total score for the 4 quizzes. Pause the video, do the problem right now, and then turn it back on when you're ready for the solution. Okay, you would have rounded 32 to 30, 42 to 40, 34 to 30, and 35 to 40. And when you add them up, you get 140, and you put 140. Now, what's the label on this one? That's how many points she got on each one. So the correct answer is 140 points. You have to show your work. You have to put a label on your word problems. All right, these are also estimation problems. I can't tell you how many times kids mess these up for some reason, and it says the best estimate, and the kids always want to do the exact answer. Do not show your work as the exact answer on problems where they give you multiple choices, where the answers are in a range. See, is the answer between 25 and 75, between 75 and 150? That's called a range. They don't need an exact answer on this, so I don't want anybody showing their work and finding an exact answer. You need to find an estimation. Pierre drove 52 miles a day for work, the best estimate for how far he drives over 5 days. So I should see your work of 50 times 5, which they show you here, of course, as well. 5 times 5 is 25. So 250, and 250 comes in between 225 and 275. So 5 is the correct answer. All right, now this next part should be probably brand new to most of you. It's called rounding, so there is only one non-zero digit. When you see the directions that say round, so there's only one non-zero digit, we want one digit in the answer that's not a 0. Notice that the answer to this problem here has a bunch of zeros and one digit that's not a 0. It's a non-zero digit. So on these types of problems, you're always going to round to the very last digit on the left when they want one non-zero digit. 7, look to the right. The 3 tells the 7 to stay where it is, so this becomes 70,000. The last digit on the left here is 9. We look to the right. The 6 tells the 9 to bump up. If the 9 bumps up, it becomes a 10, and then all the rest of these become zeros. So we have a 10 with 4 zeros after it, and the answer is 100,000. Let's do this one together. One non-zero digit, we're going to round to that place right there. Look to the right. The 5 tells the 1 to bump up, so it's going to become 2,000. Remember, only one digit in your answer is allowed to be anything but a 0. Okay, pause the video, do 21 through 23, and then turn it back on when you're ready for the solution. Okay, we're always round to the last one on the left on this. The 4 tells the 6 to stay the same, so that's 6,000. The last number on the left here is a 5. Look to the right, that's a 2. It says stay the same, so the answer is 500. The last digit here, a lot of kids miss this one. They round to the 6 on accident, but you're rounding to the 2. The 6 tells the 2 to bump up to a 3. Everything else becomes a 0, so the answer is 30,000. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching.